if you want to do tax cuts, I'm down with it, but let's do it for people who are in the middle class. Let's not do it for people who are rich, right? Because doing it for people who are rich, well, that doesn't really help them as much as it does helping people in the middle class, because helping people in the middle class put food on the table will make sure people have college and education.
Yeah, but the biggest percentage cuts were for the middle class.
Hey, did you just hear what I said?
4%. I did hear you, but
so
here's the point.
I honestly don't care. I care about the overall dollar number.
Okay, but if a person's making $1 billion and you cut them 0.01%, it's going to be more than a middle class wage earner makes, right?
So yeah, that's exactly my point.
You're playing with math right now, okay? So
no, I'm not. I'm telling you the overall number. We had to spend more of taxpayer dollars on rich people than we spent on the middle class. So you said that it benefit the middle class more than it benefit rich people. That's not true.
Okay, but the middle class...
You're using numbers to try and make it seem that way. I'm not.
I'm using the percentage tax cuts were the greatest.
I'm using the overall number of dollars.
But that's a ridiculous standard.
No, it's not. It is a ridiculous standard to use just percentage when you know that we have a progressive tax system, and it is the case that people who make more are going to get more of that money. Okay, so you're saying most of the money in the tax policy going to rich people. You think that's okay?
Okay.
Wouldn't we be giving that money to middle class people?
If you're $1 billion wage earner, let's just say, and you got a 0.01%.
I already heard you. I don't care.
0.01% is more than most middle class people make.
Exactly. So tax them the 0.01% more. Don't tax the middle class people. Like, what are you talking about?
He reduced their taxes by the greatest.
Yeah, it will reduce their taxes by increasing taxes on rich people. That's what Kamala Harris wants to do. Kamala Harris wants to increase income tax on people who make over $400,000 on their income over $400,000. She wants to bring unrealized tax specifically for people who have wealth over $100 million, and she wants to increase the corporate tax to 28%. That specifically shifts the tax burden from people who are poor to people who are rich. She wants to bring back the earned income tax credit, which is specifically $1,500 for people who make less. Not only that, but she also wants to give a $6,000 child tax credit for the first year of a child's life, $3,600 through them being 5 years old, and $3,000 through them being 18. That decreases middle class taxes for families.
But here's the point that you're missing. Under Trump's tax policies, in 2018, January, they were passed. We're still living under them. The government is collecting more money in tax revenue now than they were prior to 2018. And the reason why is because when you cut corporate taxes, taxes.
Give me any source give me any source. No.
Stop outsourcing. That's one.
No. Give me any source that it increased manufacturing jobs.
Don't just say no.
Hey, I asked you. Give me. Hey. Listen. Give me any source that indicates that. Any source. I asked you for a source. I didn't ask you for saying, oh, don't just say no. I didn't just say no. I said, give me a source.
Here's the source. The U.S. government is currently collecting nearly $5 trillion in tax.
No, I'm asking for a source that's specifically due to the reduction in taxes.
IRS, Trump's tax policies.
No, so I'll give you a source right now. The macroeconomic effect of the 2017 tax reform indicates that there's only a 0.04% increase in annual GDP, specifically from the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. That's extremely marginal for the $1.9 trillion in debt-related spending that we had specifically from the tax policy.
Parker, we were collecting $3.3 trillion in tax prior to 2018. Now we're collecting in 2023.
Respectfully, correlation causation fallacy.
$4.4 trillion.
Correlation causation fallacy.
That is a $1.1 trillion increase in the government.
Yeah, and you have no clue what you're talking about. That's a correlation causation fallacy. I also met my girlfriend under the Biden-Harris administration. That doesn't mean it's because of the Biden-Harris administration. So just because there was an increase in revenue under Trump's administration does not mean it was from the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. The Tax Cuts and Jobs Act only, listen, the trends coming from the economy either way. Okay, listen, I'll explain.
So it was luck.
Do I need to mute you so I can explain this?
I'm listening. So it was luck.
Okay, so be quiet so I don't have to mute you. Okay, so again, the GDP only increased by 0.04% a year. 0.04% a year of annual GDP increase could not possibly have caused $1.1 trillion increase in governmental revenue. That's not possible. That wasn't even that large. I'm about to kick you from my stream if you don't be quiet, okay? That is not even that big of an increase in GDP of the country, okay? So you cannot say it was from the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act in terms of the revenue increase if it didn't even cause that much of a GDP increase. That's incoherent. It cannot possibly cause a greater increase in governmental revenue if it didn't even cause that big of an increase in GDP. Right? For example, the increase in GDP by 2034 is going to be about 7 trillion, and there's going to be an increase of revenue by $1 trillion, likely due to immigration. So for every $7 trillion, or for every $1 trillion, right? I mean $7 trillion that the GDP increases, only 1 trillion increase in federal revenue. Okay, so if that is the case, about 1/7 would be. So if we take 0.04% of the overall economy, if we were to take 28 trillion, we take 0.04% of that, you're in the billions, okay? Right? Just like $20 billion, right? That's what you got. $20 billion, okay? Oh, according to our overall GDP, that's not much, okay?
I can tell you, as a small business owner, when I'm filing as a corporation, I'm paying 35%. When they dropped me to 21%, I made 14% more money overnight. You know what I did with it? I opened up another business. I created 50 jobs. I got people who were probably on unemployment, some of them at least, to now be wage earners, right? They now were paying income tax. I was collecting sales taxes in my new store, right? I was generating revenue for the government. So in my
Robot, I understand that you did that. That was not what most business owners did. Most business owners did not do that. If every business owner was robots, well then maybe that policy would work. Every business owner is not robots.
So
Every
maybe they
business owner
invested
doesn't
it,
do
though.
that. Most
So maybe
business
they
owners,
invested
listen,
it.
be
So-
quiet. Be quiet. Most business owners do not do that. They do not have an incentive to give their money to their workers in that context. The way to incentivize them to give the money to their workers is to either tax them, right, or they give the money to the workers, so that
you own
they
a business,
basically
Parker?
are forced to give money to their workers. Otherwise,
Parker.
they don't have an incentive to do so unless it makes them more money in the long run.
Parker, if you're in business and you have more money, you know what you do? You invest in your business. Or maybe you invest in other people's
You invest in things that give you a better profit. Like, for
Right.
example, stock buybacks.
Right.
Stock buybacks benefit the people who have investment in the stocks. They do not benefit the average worker. Okay?
The average
So
worker, like a cop, for instance, who maybe has a policeman's pension or a fireman's pension or a teacher's pension.
Why would you
or
reference?
401k.
Wait, why would you reference a cop who's publicly in the public sector? That's incoherent, robots.
No, because
We're talking
there's
about the private
pensions.
sector.
Because there's pensions where there's private sector and public sector employees who have money in the market. So when the market's doing better, because corporations are more
90% of the market is owned by the top 10%.
doesn't matter. The point is,
So
if you
that
have
does
a
not help the
pension-
middle class.
If you have a pension or a 401k, your markets are doing well under Biden, aren't they?
And robots, I have an IRA too. I get you.
Okay,
right?
is it doing
But-
better now?
Yes.
And partly it's doing better because very rich people are invested in
You're
some
funny.
of the same companies.
You're
that we're
actually
invested in.
hilarious. It's
How am I
doing
not
better.
hilarious? So why is
Listen,
the market doing better? It's
We're
because
under the-
corporations
we're-
have more
we're-
money.
We're under the Biden-Harris administration, by the way.
Right. And under the Biden-Harris administration, they're still using Trump's tax plan, right? In 2018, it was passed. They're still using it. Okay, corporations under Biden
And we know what the effect is of the Trump
because of
tax
Trump.
cuts.
are making more money.
Hey, robots, can you give me one source that indicates that there was a large amount of growth from the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act specifically? Can you give me one source? Because I just gave you a
Yeah.
source from a liberal and a conservative economist from Harvard.
I gave you an example of the government.
No, I don't want an
collecting more
example. I want a
revenues.
source. I want a source. I don't want a random anecdotal claim.
How is it random and anecdotal if the government's
Because
making
it's
over $1
specifically
trillion
your
more?
personal experience. It's not the macroeconomic effect of the 2017 tax reform, which, wait, that's literally the study I referenced, was the macroeconomic effect of the 2017 tax
So
reform.
the Dow's up, and it has nothing to do with corporations having.
Robots, I want you to give me a source. I don't want to hear another fucking claim that's from the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. I want a source, okay? Give me a source.
The source is if the Dow is up and companies.
Give me a source. I do not want a fucking
Dow
claim.
Jones
Give me a
Industrial.
source.
The Dow Jones Industrial.
That's
my
not a source, genius.
Yes,
That's a
it
fucking
is.
index fund.
Correct. And in that index, those corporations are making more money, and the profits are obvious.
Yeah,
aren't they?
you understand that literally does not fucking relate to the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act.
How does it not relate if companies have more money?
Because-
The Dow is doing better?
Listen,
How
because
does that not
because you have no source that indicates that. I just give you a source.
What do you mean?
that-
The source is obvious. If corporations.
robots, I have to explain the same thing to you again because you don't listen. Okay?
Corporations
Point
have
zero-
more money because of.
0.04% increase in annual GDP from the TCGA. That's from a liberal and conservative economist from Harvard. If you'd like to give me any source that indicates otherwise, I would love to look over that. Now, if you're just going to sit here and you're just going to make claims over and over again, and you're not going to give me any sources, I'm not going to take you seriously.
Okay. So, in your opinion, what's happening is corporations got the biggest tax.
Robot,
cuts.
I'm asking you for. Do
Right?
you not have a,
They
can,
have
you,
all
can you
this
just tell me you don't
money
have a source? Just tell
and
me you don't have a
that's not
source. Just tell me you don't have a
translating
source.
into the
Just tell me you don't have a
Dow Jones
source.
I just gave you my source. The market
That's not a
is
source.
doing
That's not a source.
fantastic.
That's not a source.
The market doing better is not the result.
That does not tell me what the effect of the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act is. That just tells me that literally under the Biden-Harris administration in the past few years, there's been an increase in the market. I'm not disputing that. What I'm saying is that the increase in the market is not necessarily caused by the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. If you'd like to give me any source that it's caused by the Tax
The
Cuts and
corporate
Jobs Act,
tax rate was
I will look.
35%. Why are you trying to
I'm
have
about to
a
kick you from my
conversation?
stream because you're not engaging in conversation.
I am. You keep muting me.
Because you're not engaging with what I'm saying. I'm asking you for a source. You do not listen to my source. I'm asking you for a source. Give me a source. If you don't give me a source, I'm going to go to the next person. I'm sick of hearing the same thing. I want an actual source.
Okay. The source is when you reduce taxes on corporations from 35
That's not a
to
source.
21, they make
That's not a source.
14% more. Right? My math?
Robert,
Isn't math?
robot, that's
Math
not a
is
source.
my
Give me a
source.
source. Give me a source.
Mathematics.
Hey, I understand. You say
When
that.
You go from 35
I would like to hear a
21,
source.
you become
God, Jesus Christ, you're the most
14% more
insufferable
profitable.
person. The most insufferable person. You're
more
not answering the
profitable.
question.
Because
Hey,
you're trying
that's
to
not-
paint me into a
what is
box
a source?
from some two journalists that wrote something.
It's not
I'm
a journal.
giving you
I
the
said
stock
two.
market. Your name.
Robot. I said two economists, a liberal and a conservative economist from Harvard. I did not say two journalists. I gave you two economists from fucking Harvard.
Who
from
cares
Harvard.
About what two people.
It's two economists. I don't give a fuck what you're saying. Give me a source or get the fuck off my live. I don't care. Give me a source or get off my live.
14% of savings is.
That's not a source. Give me one source. I'll keep muting you until you give me a source.
My source is math.
That's not a source. Source. I'm waiting for a source. Robot, give me a source. I'll give you two more tries. If I have to mute you if I have to mute you two more times without you providing me a source, I'm kicking you from my stream.
A guy named Frank from MIT said it. Is that better now? Now you understand what math means because some guy named Frank from MIT said it. When
You didn't give me. That's not a source.
35%.
That's not a source. You just said some random name and you said from MIT. I gave you two economists from Harvard, okay? If I have to mute you one more time without you providing me a source, I'm going to go to the next person. I'm asking you for evidence. I'm not asking you for a fucking claim. I gave you economists from Harvard who were liberal and conservative, so there was bipartisanship.
Markets are up because corporations have more money. Period.
Okay, I'm kicking you. There's no conversation to be had with that guy. That guy's literally a rock. Two rocks clucking, bro. You what's up, how old are you?
Hey, I'm not voting for Trump. I just wanted to say something quick.
Appreciate you. I'm only looking for people who are voting Trump, y'all. Only come up if you've never come up before and you're voting Trump. Appreciate the confetti. Thank you so much. All right, let's get this next individual up here. Only send a guest request if you will be voting for Trump in 2024. We are just looking for some debates. Okay, let's get this next individual up here. Only send a guest request if you will be voting for Trump in 2024. We are just looking for some debates. If you want to support me, as always, Venmo, Cash App in the bio, everyone. All right, let's get this next individual up here. Only send a guest request if you will be voting for Trump in 2024. Yo, what's up, pal?